The Bombyliidae are a family of flies. Their common name is bee flies. Adults generally feed on nectar and pollen, some being important pollinators. Larvae generally are parasitoids of other insects. Overview. The Bombyliidae are a large family of flies comprising hundreds of genera, but the life cycles of most species are known poorly, or not at all. They range in size from very small, 2 mm in length, to very large for flies, wingspan of some 40 mm. When at rest, many species hold their wings at a characteristic, swept-back angle. Adults generally feed on nectar and pollen, some being important pollinators, often with spectacularly long proboscis adapted to plants such as Larvae species with very long, narrow floral tubes. Unlike butterflies, bee flies hold their proboscises straight, and cannot retract them. In parts of East Anglia, locals refer to them as bee wheels, thanks to their tusk-like appendages. Many Bombyliidae superficially resemble bees, and accordingly the prevalent common name for a member of the family is bee fly. Possibly the resemblance is Batesian mimicry, affording the adults some protection from predators. The larval stages of predators are parasitoids of the eggs and larvae of other insects. The adult females usually deposit eggs in the vicinity of possible hosts, quite often in the burrows of beetles or wasps, solitary bees. Although insect parasitoids usually are fairly host-specific, often highly host-specific, some Bombyliidae are opportunistic and will attack a variety of hosts. While the Bombyliidae include a large number of species in great variety, most species do not often appear in abundance, and for its size this is one of the most poorly known families of insects. At least 4,500 species are described, and certainly thousands yet remain to be described. Morphology. Adult. Although the morphology of bee flies varies in detail, adults of most bee flies are characterized by some morphological details that make recognition easy. The dimensions of the body vary, depending on the species, from 1.0 mm to 2.5 cm. The form is often compact and the integument is covered with dense and abundant hair. The livery is usually inconspicuous, and colors such as brown, blackish-gray, and light colors like white or yellow predominate. Many species are mimics of Hymenoptera apoidea. The head is round, with a convex face, often holoptic in males. The antennae are of the type aristate, composed of 3 to 6 segments, with the third segment larger than the others. The stylus is absent. Antenna of 3 segments, or is composed of 1 to 3 flagellum ears. Antenna of 4 to 6 segments. The mouth ports are modified for sucking and adapted for feeding on flowers. The length varies considerably. For example, the Anthracini have short mouth ports, with the labium terminating in a large fleshy labellum. In Bombyliidae, the tube is considerably longer, and in Bombyliidae more than 4 times the length of the head. The legs are long and thin, and the front legs are sometimes smaller and more slender than the middle and rear legs. Typically, they are provided with bristles at the apex of the tibiae, without empodia and, sometimes, also without pulvilli. The wings are transparent, often hyaline or evenly colored or with bands. The alula are well developed, and in the rest position the wings are kept open and horizontal in a V shape, revealing the sides of the abdomen. The abdomen is generally short and wide, subglobose-shaped, cylindrical, or conical, composed of 6 to 8 apparent ureti apparent. The remaining urites are part of the structure of the external genitalia. The abdomen of the females often ends with spinous processes, used in ovideposition. In Anthracini and Bombyliidae, a diverticulum is present in the 8th urite, in which the eggs are mixed with sand before being deposited. The wing venation, although variable within the family, has some common characteristics that can be summarized basically in the particular morphology of the branches of the radial sector and the reduction of the forking of the media. The costa is spread over the entire margin and the subcosta is long, often ending on the distal half of the costal margin. The radius is almost always divided into 4 branches, with fusion of the branches R2 and R3, and is characterized by the sinuosity of the end portions of the branches of the radial sector. The venation presents a marked simplification compared to other Acyloidea and, in general, to other lower Brachycera. M1 is always present and converges on the margin or, sometimes, of R5. M2 is present and reaches the margin, or is absent. M3 is always absent and merged with M4. The discal cell is usually present. The branch M3 plus 4 is separated from the discal cell at the distal posterior vertex, so the mid-cubital connects directly to the posterior margin of the discal cell. The cubital and anal veins are complete and end separately on the margin or converge, joining for a short distance. Consequently, the cell cup may be open or closed. Larva. The larvae of most bee flies are of 2 types. Those of the first type are elongated and cylindrical in shape and have a metaneustic or amphineustic tracheal system, provided with a pair of abdominal spiracles and, possibly, a thoracic pair. Those of the second type are stubby and eucephalic and have 1 pair of spiracles positioned in the abdomen. Biology. Adults favor sunny conditions and dry, often sandy or rocky areas. They have powerful wings and are found typically in flight over flowers or resting on the bare ground exposed to the sun. Watch video. They significantly contribute to cross-pollination of plants, becoming the main pollinators of some plant species of desert environments. Unlike the majority of glyciphagous dipterans, the bee flies feed on pollen, from which they meet their protein requirements. A similar trophic behavior occurs among the hoverflies, another important family of diptera pollinators. They are often recognizable by their stocky shapes, by their hovering behavior, and for the particular length of their mouthports as they lean forward into flowers. Unlike hoverflies, which settle on the flower as do bees and other pollinating insects, the bee flies behave like Sphingidae and generally feed hovering in the air and using their front legs to stabilize their position. Despite the high number of species of this family, the biology of juveniles of most species is poorly understood. The post-embryonic development is of the type hypermetamorphic, with parasitoid or hyperparasitoid larvae. Exceptions are the larvae of Heterotropinae, whose biology is similar to that of other Acyloidea, with predatory larvae that do not undergo hypermetamorphosis. Hosts of bee flies belong to different orders of insects, but mostly are among the holometabolous orders. Among these are Hymenoptera, in particular the superfamilies of Vespoidea and Apoidea, beetles, other flies, and moths. Larvae of some species including Villa sp. feed on ova of Orthoptera. Bombyliidae major larvae are parasitic on solitary bees including Andrena. Anthrax anal is a parasite of tiger beetle larvae, and A. trifasciata is a parasite of the wall bee. Several African species of Villa and Thyroidanthrax are parasitic pupae of tsetse flies. Villa morio is parasitic on the beneficial ichneumoniid species Banchus femoralis. The larvae of Dipalta are parasitic on antlions. The behavior of known forms is similar to that of the larvae of Nemistronoidea. The first instar larva of is a planidium, while the other stages have a parasitic habitus. The eggs are laid usually in a future host or at the nest where the host develops. The planidium enters the nest and undergoes changes before starting to feed. Zoogeography. The family is worldwide. Palearctic ecozone, Narctic ecozone, Afrotropic ecozone, Neotropic ecozone. Australasian ecozone, Oceania ecozone, Indomalaya ecozone, but has the greatest biodiversity in tropical and subtropical arid climates. In Europe, 335 species are distributed among 53 genera. Species lists. West Palearctic including Russia, Australasian, Oceanian, Arctic, Japan. World list. Systematics. The systematics of bee flies are the most uncertain of any family of lower Brachycera. Willi Hennig, 1973, placed the bee flies in the superfamily of Nemastronoidea, on the basis of analogies in the behavior of the larvae, positioning the superfamily Intabenomorpha inside the infraorder Homeodactyla Borisborisoph. Rodendorff, 1974, dealt with the family in a separate superfamily, Bombyliidae, linking it to the superfamily of Acylidae. Currently the close correlation either positions the bee flies within the superfamily Acyloidea, sensu Rodendorff, Acylidae, or they are included with the families separated by Rodendorff in the superfamily of Acyloidea. Currently, the close correlation either positions the bee flies within the superfamily Acyloidea sensu Rodendorff, Acylidae, or they are included with the families separated by Rodendorff in the superfamily of Acyloidea. Clade showing relationship of Acyloidea. The internal systematic of bee flies is uncertain. In the past, 31 subfamilies were well defined, but the family is thought to be polyphyletic, sensu lato. In the 1980s and 90s, the family has undergone several revisions. Webb, 1981, finally moved the genus Hilarimorpha into their own family, Hilarimorphidae. Zaitsev, 1991, moved the genus Mythicomyia and several other minor genera in the family Mythicomyidae. Yates, 1992, 1994, shifted the entire subfamily of Parasitoids, with the exception of Apostomia, into the family of Ctenopanidae and subsequently the genus Apostomia into the family Hilarimorphidae. Nagatomi and Liu, 1994, moved Apostomia into a family of their own, Apostomiidae. After these revisions, the bee flies sensu stricto have a greater morphological homogeneity, but the monophyly of the family still remains dubious and, consequently, the internal classification. Overall, the family includes about 4,700 described species, distributed among 230 genera. The internal arrangement varies according to the source. According to the different frameworks the authors attribute to tribes and subfamilies to divide the family. Often this scheme is used. Anthracini, Anthrarchini, Aphibontini, Exoprosopini, Plesiocerini, Villini, Xeramibini, Antoniani, Bombyliidae, Acrophthalmidini, Bombyliini, Coniforini, Discustini, Aclimini, Laudatini, Crocidini, Cytherini, Lomatiani, Comptacini, Lomatini, Laudotini, Mariobetziani, Oligodronini, Oniramini, Theriani, Theriini, Poacilognathini, Tomomizani, Toxophorinae, Gerontini, Cystropodini, Toxophorini, Userini, Apollicini, Userini, Xenoprosopini. Genera. Gallery. See also. List of soldier flies and allies of Great Britain. Bowden, J. 1980 Family Bombyliidae. pp. 381–430. In R. W. Krosky. ed. Catalogue of the Diptera of the Afrotropical Region. 1437 pp. London. British Museum. Natural History. Engel, E. O. 1932–1937. Bombyliidae. In I Pflegen der Paläarktischen Region 4. 3. Erwin Lindner. ed. 1–619. Place. 1 to 15. E. Schweizerbart. Stuttgart. Old and outdated. Not easy to get and expensive, but some of the only keys to taxa in the Palearctic region. Great head and even hewish. Great head. D. J. and N. L. Even hewish. 1997. Family Bombyliidae. In Contributions to a Manual of Palearctic Diptera Volume 2. L. Papin B. Davos. eds. 487 to 512. Science Herald. Budapest. Provide a key to the Palearctic genera and may give references to available generic revisions. Even hewish. N. L. 1991. Catalogue of genus group names of bee flies. Diptera. Bombyliidae. Bishop Museum Bulletin of Entomology 5. 1 to 105. Even hewish. N. L. and Greathead. D. J. 1999. World Catalogue of Bee Flies. Diptera. Bombyliidae. Backhies publishes. Leiden. 756 pp. Online. Hull. F. M. 1973. Bee Flies of the World. The Genera of the Family Bombyliidae. Washington. Smithsonian Institution Press. 687 pp. Keys subfamilies. Genera. Many generic placements superseded by even hewish and Greathead. 1999. Yates. David K. 1994. The Cladistics and Classification of the Bombyliidae. Diptera. Asloidea. Bulletin of the American Museum of Natural History. No. 219. 191 pp. Media related to Bombyliidae at Wikimedia Commons. Image gallery from Diptera. Info. Images from Encyclopedia of Life. Biolab Bombyliidae Taxon Tree. Bombyliidae. Bee Flies. By David K. Yates and Christine L. Lamkin in the Tree of Life web project. Consulted March 28, 2007. Wing venation. Bombyliidae fauna Europareia.